Kyle Smith here, Arizona drummer. I don't normally I'm behind the kit, but this time I wanted to kind of just give you guys a little bit of a tour of not only the studio space that I'm working with, which is really just a bedroom in my house, but also give you a little rundown of the gear that I'm using in the videos. I got a lot of questions about the drums I'm using, the cymbals, as well as even the software that I'm using. So I thought I'd take some time to do that. I'm actually getting ready to sell this house, so good chance for me to kind of show you guys what the setup is as I'm taking it down, because we're getting ready to stage the house so we can sell it. So without further ado, we'll kind of jump right in. And here we are. We're now in the studio. As you can see, I have these blankets up on the walls. So these blankets are from Vocal Booth to Go. Again, I'll link everything in the description so you guys can click on it and see it for yourself. But that's what these are. They're really thick, like these super thick blankets. They do a really good job of soundproofing the room, not only for my neighbors, but then also my bedroom is right up there. As you can see, I also have some foam up on the ceiling, foam on the doors. You'll see that when we start taking this stuff down, there's foam also behind these blankets. But honestly, a great solution. They literally just drill in right up into the ceiling right there. I also have these panels. They're like movie theater panels. They work really well on, again, adding to that soundproof and absorbing some of the sound. Here's the main attraction, the drum set. So I do use these lights here. First couple videos I was using this ceiling light, which to kind of give you guys an example, you can see it's got a really warm color. Doesn't really offer the best light. You can see as soon as I turn it off, it just gets a little bit more focused and epic looking. Anyway, so let's go ahead and jump into the gear I'm using. I'll kind of get back around the kit, and we'll talk through that. When it comes to like microphone stands, I couldn't tell you. I'll dig in, like I said, and put the links in the bio. I just don't know what stands I'm using. All I know is they were the cheapest ones I could find, because I wanted to make sure I got videos out as quick as possible. So, again, we'll start with the throne. I'm getting ready to replace this guy, but it is a DW. You can see here, DW 3000 throne. It honestly works really well. Just something I think I need to replace because it hurts my ass. I do use mostly DW. As you'll see here, I have the DW 9000 double pedals. I am using the plastic side of the beater when it comes to these guys. My kit itself is a DW Performance Series in Black Diamond. So I have a 22 by 18 inch kick. I do keep the DW Resolve head on there, and we have a 10 by 8 inch rack tom, which is mounted to the cymbal stand over here. We have a 12 by 8 inch, so these are both the same depth. I really feel like when you have, and I had this in a previous kit, but when you have your two rack toms at the same depth, it's really easy to get them in the same tonal range when you're tuning them. Over here though, I have a big monster 16 by 16 inch floor tom. I typically don't go with square sizes. I'll usually go with a 16 by 14, but I really wanted some low end since I got so much high end up here. The only drum on this kit that is not DW is this guy right here. This is my Pearl Sensitone aluminum. It's a 13 by 6.5 inch snare drum. And it is a freaking beast. Get into the cymbals. I'm proudly endorsed by Soultone Cymbals. I have a number of different cymbals around the kit, which we're going to go through right now from left to right. For my hi-hat, I'm using a Soultone 13 inch explosion hi-hat. So 13 inch, honestly, I've been using 13 inches for the majority of my career. I started with a 14. I just love the high end and cut you get from a 13. And when I was at the NAMM show this last January, I really enjoyed the sound of this one. I got a chance to play it, and it just really cuts through. It has a lot of stick definition. It's an awesome cymbal. It's fucking great. Let's just be real. As my left crash, I have my 18 inch Abbey series. As I was getting into the Soultone family, I really wanted to make sure I tested out as much as I could. I'm a big fan of bright cymbals, and this Abbey series, which you can get in the pack, it's a 4-pack. It comes with the 14 inch hats, 18 inch crash, 16 inch crash, and 20 inch bridle, which we'll go over in a second. It's a great deal. These are the cymbals you're hearing in all these videos. So again, we have the 18 inch Abbey crash here. Does a phenomenal job with projection, but also has a nice decay. I have a 10 inch Gospel splash here. I love the Gospel series. I have another cymbal of theirs as well, which we'll get to in a minute. I have an 8-inch Extreme Splash. Again, super quick decay, but an awesome sound. My main crash, which is a little backwards for most people, usually their bigger crash is their main. I have a 16-inch Abbey crash. This is what I'm spending the majority of my crash time on. Over here in the ride, we have a 20-inch Abbey ride. Again, it's thin enough that it can be used as a crash ride. It's got really nice definition on the bow, and the bell is not lathe. It's raw. It's a raw bell ride. It is phenomenal. And then lastly over here I have a 17-inch Gospel China. This thing is mean. So that's kind of my cymbal setup. For the hardware, other than the pedals, it's all Pearl hardware for the most part. So I have the Pearl 900 series hi-hat stand, which you'll see here. There's kind of the foot pedal. Honestly, it's a great stand, but I am looking to replace it. I want to upgrade. I do have 2 of these Tama cymbal clamps, which again do a great job of just kind of fitting into tight spaces. You'll see here's the other one I have right here. And then I have 3 of the Pearl 900 series boom stands holding up my crashes as well as my ride cymbal. And I think that just about does it. I also have a Vader stick bag or stick carrier, collision drumsticks, which I'm also a happy endorsee of. I use the 5A size series. Honestly, these sticks are incredibly durable. They have a great feel in the hand, and they are a little bit longer than normal sticks. So where normally you have about a 16-inch stick, I actually have a Vader stick right here I can compare it to. So you'll see here, this is a normal 5A size stick. You see the butts are the same size, and the Vader is just a little bit shorter. What's great about that is that not only does it have a better reach as a stick, but it also just again has great playability and durability. So great sticks, but again I use collision drumsticks exclusively. Before we move on, I want to quickly go over the heads. On the snare drum, I'm using an Evans HD Dry. Again, I've played Remo drum heads for 20 years, and just recently for the first time tried Evans, and I gotta say I love Evans drum heads. Not only are they just great production, great durability, they sound phenomenal, but what they did as a company, Diodario, during this coronavirus epidemic has been just truly inspirational. They immediately stopped production, shifted over to making face masks or face shields, and honestly that type of innovation, ingenuity, and dedication to just humanitarian efforts is amazing. So I thought I'd give them a shot, and I fell in love. But again, on the snare drum, I'm using Evans HD Dry. I'm probably going to try a couple more out, but wanted to kind of share what I'm using there. I have Evans EC2s on the toms. You'll see that. As well as I'm using an Evans EMAD 2 on the kick with a little EQ patch for where my beater hits the drum. For microphones, I have an Audix i5 on the snare drum, which is hooked up to the one of the Audix drum clamps. I am using Audix D2s on all of my toms. I have Audix D2, D2, and then way back here, D2. Up for my overheads, I'm using the Rode M5, which is kind of what I started with, attached to the snare drum, and it feeds over to the computer setup, which we'll get there in a second. And I also have a Roland kick trigger on the kick drum. So the reason I use a Roland trigger on the kick is not only is it much easier to get it recorded into the software, but I actually only have 6 mic inputs on my audio interfaces, and so I have that for the 2 overheads, the 3 toms, and the snare. So that kind of takes those 6 inputs. I do plan on adding a D6 to the kick, blending those together once I upgrade my interface. So we'll look at that now. I am using a Apple MacBook Pro to do all of my recording. I have an external hard drive here, as well as I have a Behringer audio interface and then an audio box by Pre-Sonus down here. So I have my overheads going into this, and I have my drums going into the Behringer, which again, they have a great sound, but they're preamps. What you'll see here is I also have all my Distant Call memorabilia from when I was in the band. This is the album that I was on with them. It's called Disguise Signs. But yeah, so that's my kit. I'm gonna now just again start taking all this stuff apart. Luckily, guys, I have tons of videos ready to go, so the videos won't stop. But definitely looking forward to you guys seeing the new studio as we build it out. All right.